Hey Dave, you ready for this?
Are we still doing the run into the chair thing?
You know, it reminds me of the before times.
The good old days.
Yeah. Back when this didn't make you a bad citizen, right?
Right.
All right, let's go. Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen. Oh wait,
Hey.
Today is March 3rd, 2000 and May 3rd.
May
oh my
3rd.
goodness.
May 3rd, actually, but whatever.
Tomorrow's Star Wars Day. All right. Today's May 3rd, 2020 to season 4, episode 18. I'm Eric Murphy, and today with me is Dave Warnock. Dave, how's it going, brother?
Hey, Eric.
Hello. Oh man. Geez, I'm stumbling on my words and we're just beginning. It's gonna be an interesting episode. Dave,
Yeah.
how have you been holding up through all this?
What's that?
I said, how have you been holding up through all this?
Just trying to get through it, man. Trying to stay sane, stay safe. Just trying to do it. Doing okay, actually, for the most part, but some rough spots for sure.
Yeah. Well, so it's been a little while since we've talked, and for anybody who hasn't seen an episode with you prior, Dave, who are you?
Well, I'm an ex-Christian, ex-pastor, humanist / atheist now. And in the last year, I've been doing a thing called Dying Out Loud, which is me talking about my former life as a Christian and my new life as an atheist in light of my new diagnosis in the past year with a terminal illness called ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, which this month is ALS Awareness Month. Because of Lou Gehrig, he announced his retirement from the Yankees in May of 30-something. Anyway,
Wow,
it's ALS Awareness Month.
I can dig it, and I'm really, really glad you're here. I know that we were talking about getting you out here before this whole outbreak happened, and being able to have you remote in. We generally don't have people remoting, but now that everything needs to be remote, that's okay. We're getting to have our favorite people. And Dave, I'm so glad to see you, man. It is always a pleasure.
Always a treat to see you too, Eric. You're a good friend. I'm sorry we were going to be there in person, so it's kind of a bummer, but we'll get back down there one of these days.
We will get bacon. It will happen.
We will get bacon. Always bacon.
Right. Well, so I think before we dive into calls, we've got our regular announcements, so I want to make sure that I get those out of the way. The Atheist Community of Austin is the organization that puts Talk Heathen on. It's actually a nonprofit 501c3. If you want to support us, if you like what we do, consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. 2/3 of the way through the episode, I will be pulling up our top 5 patrons, those people, and read their names. If you want to hear your name read today, go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. And we've got a whole bunch of other stuff. We've got merch. If you want to check out the merch, I know I saw that at the bottom third, and that'll be popped up again. I'm sure there it is.
Cool logo.
Talk Heathen to Me mugs and shirts, and I'm very excited about that. So I only have one, and it's oversized. I need to. I've lost a bit of weight. I need to actually get a smaller Talk Heathen shirt. But definitely consider getting one, because once all this is done, once we film our new intro, we're going to be retiring the Talk Heathen logo. So if you want to get the OG logo, get it while you can.
Going to get a new one?
We are.
Yeah, I've got a couple of dying. I've got more than one Dying Out Loud shirt. I've got like 20. That's all I wear.
Well, you have amazing artists that do your merchandise. Don't we have a screenshot that we can pop up of?
Yeah, let me give a shout out to my buddy Gavin Bowyer from England. He's the one, just to show you, I've got the shirt on, but he did this image from a picture I sent him of me smoking a cigar, and the smoke was coming up in front of my face. And so he made that image that kind of captures the effect of ALS on a body, and that it deteriorates. The body basically deteriorates over time. And so he did a great job coming up with that image. I think he's He's watching the shows today from England. So
Hey.
he's a great artist. And yeah, I've got some talented people that just decided they wanted to help me spread the Dying Out Loud message. And another lady down in Texas, your state, Katie, she designed some of Casey Latham. I said Katie, I'm sorry, Casey Latham.
Okay.
She designed some of the first Dying Out Loud logos and stuff, and those are we've got them on some shirt designs too. So yeah, we got stuff too. You got to have stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do absolutely want to promote what you're doing. I know that we've only got you for so long, and we want to have you out there talking for as much as possible. And with this virus, the way it's been affecting travel, it means that once things pick up, we're going to be whisking you all over the place. So if
that's the thing. I had to shut all this travel down. We had the calendar full through first half of the year over even in England and Europe, and it's very disappointing to have to shut all that down. I think that's the hardest part that this has been for me personally. When you asked how I'm doing, it's been a frustrating experience. I'll just be honest. It was because I do feel my time is so limited. I'm not young like you. You got 100 years to live, man. But I felt like this time was just taken away from me, and I don't know when I'll get to redo it. And that was very frustrating, and I did not react to it as well as I would have hoped I would have, so it's taken me a bit to get my bearings, and it's been hard on the people around me because I've been frustrated and agitated and impatient and all the things I don't like being. So I'm just keeping it real, and I don't handle this shit well all the time. Some people, I get messages all the time about, and I just want to say this because I feel like I need to be honest. I get messages from people all the time about you're an inspiration and we, love what you're doing. And I just want to say I'm not doing great all the time. I'm positive for the most part, and I'm trying to do my best, but I got some bad days, and a lot of times bad days string together and they affect the people around me in negative ways. And I'm always trying to grow and be a better person. And I've always said I want to be the best version of me at the end of my life. I want to keep getting better. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to say that.
You know what? That's okay to be human, and that is absolutely okay to be honest and forthright about it. I mean, it just makes me admire you more. Like I know we had this conversation when I interviewed you for my podcast, where there's that kind of imposter syndrome. But I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times, man. We see value in you. We see value in what you're doing. And even though it's weird, you give us permission to explore and talk and grow in ways that are very personal to so many people.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that. I've seen that there's a need for people to grapple with their own mortality and the finiteness of this life and the brevity of it. And so a lot of times people don't get a chance to talk about that in ways that are positive. And so I think the big thing I've learned from doing this now for a year is that it's giving people permission to talk about serious subjects almost in a lighthearted way. If you can talk about death in a lighthearted way, it's because it takes the mystery away from it. It shines the light on it. I know we talked about this in the podcast, and there's a lot of people I hear from who used to be Christians or maybe never were, but they just have a gnawing fear of death and hell that just continues to haunt them even after having left Christianity years ago. That's still there. And so it's good to know that something, you experience this too. It's good to know that something we're doing is helping people.
Absolutely. If you like what Dave does, if you want to check him out or support him in any way, I really highly suggest you do that. We have a page with different links to things. I'm going to want to pimp that out as much as humanly possible. There it is.
Yeah. There's my exploding face.
But it's also got your email, your Facebook.
Yeah, Patreon support, the merch link there. Everything's there on the daveoutloud.com. So we'll get that out of the way because I always forget to say that shit. And
I got you, man. I got you.
You got me, man.
Dude, we're good. We're good. I think it's time, though, to move on to calls. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. And with that, the call-in studio dropped for me. So, all right, here we go. Corey in South Carolina. Corey, you're live with Eric and Dave. What would you like to talk about today?
Hey, Eric. Hey, Dave.
Hey,
Hello.
Corey.
Me again from Sunday, last Sunday.
Rock on. What did you want to talk about?
Basically, I just looked at some things that give y'all more credibility. I did do some research, and one thing I dig in deeper is when you told me basically like to look at, don't nitpick my scenarios, you know? And I looked at it, and I looked at like stories like car accidents and stuff like that. And I thought about what you said, and that can apply for everything. So I got to concede on that one.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused, but I'm going to need to go back and listen. Did you want to talk about that today, or did you have something else you wanted to bring up?
I have some other things. I was just giving you some credibility because I am looking at some stuff, and I'm saying, like, people need to pay attention. It's like, seriously, y'all doing a good job.
And this is coming from a theist. We're still on opposite sides of things. Cheers, man. We can't reach across that.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So
I applaud your open mind, Corey. That's a thing we all have to have, is an open mind. So good for you.
Well, not too open though. Otherwise your brain might fall out. But
yeah,
just
I've heard
enough,
that.
right?
I've heard that.
So Corey, what do you want to talk about?
Basically, I just wanted to know was like, what are some good things and what are some good ways that Christians and atheists can get along together that won't take away their faith or basically make it to where everybody can live together in harmony? Because I'm seeing a bunch of negative reaction from both sides.
Absolutely. In fact, I was watching the live chat of a different YouTube channel that had a lot of non-religious people who were saying, "Oh, all atheists, all they do is dive in and just are really mean and cruel and call names." And I see the same the other way around. And a couple things. Number one, I would say, Corey, don't worry about protecting your faith from ideas, because if your faith is contingent on not learning more information that might make you doubt it, that's a problem. But there are a lot of things that we can do together that are secular being not religious, right? So if we're building community, if we're volunteering, if we're just helping each other, I mean, those are all things that are not owned by the church that many of us would be very happy to do. So I would definitely look into that. And I think that really the place where it overreaches, and the place that inspires us to do what we do, is we live in a country where there's a lot of religious overreach. People who want to. Oh, Dave, go ahead. I'm kind of.
No, I was just going to say that I didn't mean to jump in on you. I was I was agreeing with you, but it's the overreach. It's when Christians want to impose their ideas on everyone and make everyone behave as a Christian. And I have friends, I don't know if you, Eric, but I have friends that are Christians.
Sure.
And we get along just fine because I'm not trying to impose my ideas on them. I'm not trying to dictate how they should live or think, and they're not trying to do that to me. So the problem I have is when Christians, and evangelicals are the worst about this, because by and large, they are trying to evangelize. That's where the word comes from. They are trying to change people's minds. And so they feel like in this country, we have a big problem with that, because they feel like this should be a Christian country, and they have a mandate from God to make everyone believe like they do. And then they start restricting the rights of those who don't believe like they do. And a great example, like you said, we have commonality. We're all humans. And when we can connect on that human level, then we get along just fine and we help each other. And a good example of that is during the coronavirus pandemic in New York City, when Samaritan's Purse went in and set up medical facilities. That's the Franklin Graham organization. And they were there to help take care of sick people, but they were also imposing conditions on that. And you had to sign a statement of belief that basically discriminates against gays, discriminates against people that don't think like they do. That's when it becomes a problem. And so, to answer Corey's question very directly, we can get along on the human level. Let's just quit trying to impose our beliefs on one another.
And
Can you
go ahead.
Can you give me an example from like each one of you about a certain time where it really hurt you? Because I know, like, if y'all leave a church, it's going to affect y'all some way or another.
It's not just personal. I mean, I lived in California, and Prop 8 made it illegal for same-sex marriage to be a thing that could happen.
Right.
That's not just me. That's people using their religious viewpoints to dictate what other people can or can't do. It is making it law.
Right. And that's the same with me. It's not about how it affects me personally, although I have had negative repercussions from my lack of faith in my own family, them disowning me, essentially, parts of them. But I, like Eric said, I have a lesbian couple of friends in Nashville that are very concerned about the current administration and what they might do in terms of legalizing marriage or making it illegal again. And that would affect them in ways that are very dramatic. And it's not about what I need or want. It's about those who may be more marginalized than me.
Absolutely. And it's not just Christians. It's not like we just have this, we just don't have it out for Christians.
Right. No.
Look at Sharia law. When you have your religion being the thing that dictates your government, it can be really bad. And I think that the more fundamentalist, the more extreme people try and force their views on everyone else, the more you're going to see just how much it sets us back. I have in the comments that you wanted to talk about morality, though. Right?
Yeah. Basically, it was just giving you credit to certain stuff. I was going to talk about like the credibility of certain stuff that I found. I did the research, and the only argument all the arguments that y'all make, I watch y'all show. The only ones I can see is I have to bring credibility through the Bible. Any other one just seems irrational to me.
So just so I'm clear, so I'm making sure that we're all on the same page. You're referring to last week's call when you said that answered prayer is evidence of God, right? Isn't that what you said? Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just horribly wrong on that because I know there's like, I didn't think about it until you was like nitpicking about like certain events. And I thought about like, okay, if my sister, like I watched a video of somebody that got cancer, and I was just like, okay, like if they pray, like I believe in stuff and I believe prayer works, but it's just that type of feeling,
Yeah, well, if it works every time, then that God is an asshole. Because that means that God is actively choosing to keep people in pain and suffering and dying. But if it doesn't work every time, then we definitely have evidence to support that. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask about?
Like I know there's some laws that as Christians we're trying to do is like one is like school, getting religion in school. What's y'all's thought about that?
Well, I think that if you want to teach, well, so the thing is I loved learning about Greek and Roman mythology. I loved learning about Zeus and Heracles and all the different stories that happen throughout there. I loved learning about Norse mythology. I think that if we're learning about holy books and mythology, it should be in that context. But if you want to teach it as truth, then you're opening up a door that I don't know if you want to open. I mean, would you want other religions telling your children that their religion was true?
No, because I know other countries are persecuting people
Right.
Well,
for believing in certain stuff.
absolutely. And I mean, there are stories now of how some of those things negatively impact people. And it's not just atheists. I mean, we had a Jehovah's Witness call in last week. And I remember talking to a Jehovah's Witness who, in school, right around Christmas time, the kids were all practicing for a play, and they needed to sit out because their parents wouldn't let them, obviously, participate. That said, all of the kids got to see who the weird one was, and that child got picked on because of it. When you single children out and make them the other, you are you're putting them in a place where they're going to be picked on. And I think that's atrocious. So why, as a Christian, do you think that's a good idea?
I mean, I don't personally.
Okay.
It's like I literally watched a video of them putting up a statue that was religious, and then we had, I don't know what it was, but they had a Ten Commandments statue put up at the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there was another statue, and basically they didn't agree with one of them. And the argument was, well, if one statue should be up, the other one should.
If you want to be fair, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go.
That's the problem. If you want religion in schools, and the people that typically want religion in schools in this country are saying they want the Christian religion. In other words, their religion. And it's another example of Christians trying to impose their beliefs on others. And their argument is that they say that this is a Christian nation. Well, it's actually not. But so what that amounts to is when they are wanting the Bible read or prayers to the Christian God before football games or whatever, then by definition, they're going to leave out every other child who doesn't share in that particular brand of religion, the Muslims, the Jews, Hindus, whatever, non-religious. And so they're the ones that have to be, they're going to be ostracized. Like Eric said, everyone's going to know who the weird kid is, who the one that doesn't fit in. He's the oddball. She's the oddball. That's not fair to them. They're paying, their parents are paying taxes for those schools just like the Christians are. That's what's unfair about it, and that's why the separation of church and state exists.
And that said, Corey, to be honest with you, I don't know about a lot of other atheists, but I'm getting sick and tired of being the only group that's trying to make that happen. There are plenty of Christian organizations that are going, you know what, actually, that's fair, and are being a part of that. But why do we have to be the ones who are arguing for fairness and equity? Shouldn't you be doing that too? Mm-hmm. I mean, why are we looking out for other religions that we don't agree with either?
We don't believe in any religion, but we're still trying to look out for those who have other religious beliefs that would feel very offended by the Christian belief being imposed upon them. Eric's right.
Yeah, and not even just the Christian belief, a very specific Christian belief.
Exactly.
I'm sure there are plenty of Mormons who will attest that they are Christians, and plenty of Christians who will say that they are not. And it's just that way. That said, Corey, I'm really, really glad you looked into it. And if you have any other questions or anything like that, please feel free to call in, because it sounds like you do. Oh, go ahead.
I do got one other question. It's like, okay, how would you, I don't agree with like having one religion rule, because I do understand that. So how would I go about like helping people? Because I'm still a Christian and I still can't shape my beliefs. It's like, I can't, this for me, it's just, I just can't. I don't know why, I just can't.
Honestly, I had a conversation with someone on Discord last week who said the same thing. And, dude, I said the same thing at one point.
I was going to say I couldn't either until I could.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it takes time.
15 years ago, if you'd have told me I wouldn't believe in God and I would not be a Christian, I would be an atheist, because I was a Christian for 37 years, an evangelical, charismatic Christian, full on, all the way in. Bible
Didn't he preach as well?
I was a preacher, pastor, teacher, believed the Bible, read it through many times, prayed in tongues, everything. And if you'd have told me that would go away and I would embrace the label atheist, I would have said you were crazy. But you've got what a lot of people don't have, Corey, and that's an open mind and a willingness to say, I was wrong. And you said that earlier about something that you've previously thought, and you said, I was wrong about that. And anytime we can come to the place in life where we can look and say, wait a minute, I thought something and now I think I was wrong, that's the sign of maturity, in my opinion.
Definitely. And
good for you, Corey.
One thing that I would love to send out there and ask you to do, if you want some homework, Corey.
Yes.
Keep doing that.
Yes.
When you say, hey, I was wrong. Hey, I learned something. Hey, whatever that case is, that be an exemplar of that. There are so many times, especially, in the church when I was growing up, and I bet Dave can attest the same way, that if you were wrong about something, it was immediately met with ridicule.
Oh yeah, you couldn't be wrong.
You needed to be right, or you needed to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were wrong, it discredited you as a person and people were less likely to talk to you. But that's not how this works.
Mm-mm.
We fuck up. We're humans. And when we mess up, we learn. And if we want to be honest about it, we say, hey, I messed up. I'm going to have the integrity to bring forward what I learned so that I can not make that same mistake again. And if you do that, if you can celebrate that and be an exemplar of that, you can foster that kind of willingness to learn and seek out truth around you.
Yeah.
It helps you not just in religion, it helps you everywhere.
Good point. Preach, brother.
That said, Corey, it was good talking to you, man.
Thanks for the call, Corey.
All
Take
right.
care, brother. Good guy.
That was nice.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm taking a look. I see that we have a good number of atheist callers, but not a whole lot of theist callers. If you want to call, let's see if we can throw the number up at the bottom. I see two numbers at the top and I don't want to give the wrong one. Here we go. 512-991-9242. That's 512-991-9242. There's also a toll-free number, 877-326-3166.
And if you're
for US and Canada.
If you're a theist and want to talk about the subject of death and afterlife and eternity and heaven and hell, since I'm someone who has a terminal illness, you might get your call on a little quicker, just saying.
Absolutely. Now is the time. Now is the time. And before we dive in, I just wanted to say, I've got access to this soundboard that Vern gave me, and I cannot stop messing with it. It is so good. And I have you. in here, Dave. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
You anxious to talk? What is it?
Shit's getting real, y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to use that. Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk to Michael in Miami. Michael, you're live with Eric and Dave. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, guys. I'm actually, I'm a Christian, and specifically, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. And the thing for me is that probably for the past 2 years, if I'm recalling my timetable correctly, I've sort of been in this place where I guess you could say, sort of like an agnostic type place where I'm just not sure how much of my belief is based upon true personal conviction, as opposed to just, following something that I was taught to believe in. Because my family became Seventh-day Adventist when I was like 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I was just sort of thinking back on my faith, and I kind of realized that much of my ardor, because I went to public school for most of my for most of my life, and the thing is, usually I was like enthralled in, say, like what's the word I'm looking for? Debates, I guess you can say, with some of my classmates about evolution versus creation and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Seventh-day Adventists, but we are biblical literalists, and we, if I was to put a label on it, young Earth creationists and stuff like that. My point is, though, is that looking back on all that, I kind of realized that all of my zeal was founded upon this one particular doctrine, and that is biblical inerrancy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I considered that my adherence to that doctrine was really just based upon, my mom told me that's what we believe, and then I just kind of ran with it from the time I was a kid. And, I just kind of forgot that. so now I'm in this place where I don't know how much of my faith is like really sound. And it's opened me up to, I guess this realization kind of opened me up to different things, like I've been watching a lot of different videos on YouTube, like Genetically Modified Skeptic or Cosmic Skeptic, and or Aaron Ra, and just like considering some things that normally, like in the past, I would just sort of like bury underneath a pile of like dogmatic rhetoric, I guess you can say. So, but nonetheless, because I know I'm going to come to a question. The thing that I was particularly thinking about, though, was in terms of like prophecy. What I'm doing now is I'm just trying to like gain different people's perspectives as much as I'm just trying to talk to different people so you get their perspective on things. And one such thing I'm trying to get perspective on is what is like the atheist. I know this is like a pretty broad question, but what's like the atheist take on prophecy? Because usually that was one of the things that was, I guess you could say, some of the stronger, like cited as one of some of the stronger proofs of the Bible is prophecy that has allegedly been fulfilled.
It got a little bit windy, Michael. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I was just saying that when it comes to arguments for the inerrancy of the Bible, one such thing that is usually cited as one of the stronger proofs is prophecy. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know what the atheist response was in general to prophecy. Like for instance, like I said, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and the main prophecy I would say that much of our doctrine hinges upon is the 2300-day prophecy. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, or the 70-week prophecy. So, yeah, I'm like, I know it's a pretty broad question. I'm not sure how much more I could.
No worries, man. I'd be happy to dive in just a little bit. So I think the first thing that I'm going to say is going to be incredibly disappointing. And that is that I cannot give you the atheist opinion.
I was going to say there's no unified atheist position. We don't have we don't have a scripture book to look to. We just we're called free thinkers for a reason. But go ahead and talk to the prophecy issue, Eric. I know you're well equipped for that.
Sure, man. So with that out of the way, there are plenty of atheists who think some pretty wacky stuff. It's just the answer to one question. That said, what is a skeptical viewpoint of it? And I think that is the tool that you're looking for. Is you're looking for skepticism. How could it be wrong, right? How do I apply the scientific method to prophecy? And what does it look like when it's incorrect? Have you looked into incorrect prophecies before?
I did see one time. One such video I saw. Like I mentioned earlier, that I've been like looking at, say, Aaron Ra's videos, and one video that I saw that he did was called "Unfulfilled Prophecy," and or "Unfulfilling Prophecy" rather, and that was like getting at different, I guess you say, different biblical prophecies that he was saying were either not fulfilled or we're actually talking about something else that modern Christians try to ascribe a different meaning to. So I haven't really looked into it beyond that, though.
Sure, no worries. There's another person I would say take a look at, and that's my roommate, Holy Kool-Aid. He did a psychic cringe fail video, and I think he did more than one, and it was awesome. See, the thing with prophecy is it's not just within the realm of Christians. Prophecy has been something that multiple religions have been, espouting since time immemorial. People would go to oracles to see, what the result of going to war would be like back in the day. And definitely right around the time of the founding of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you had this huge amount of revival and prophecy and that kind of thing happening. And so you have people who are putting a lot of stock into prophecy. And so how do we determine whether or not it is something to take seriously? I think the first is you need to look at who is making the prophecy, right? If you're only learning about the prophecy after the fact, then how do you determine that somebody didn't just make it up, right? Let's say you go to the grocery store today and, somebody brings you a letter afterwards and they say, it says that Michael's going to go to the grocery store today. And I wrote it 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Well, that would have been a whole lot more useful yesterday.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's kind of the problem with the Bible is you have these things being written after the fact, and that kind of sucks all of the amazingness out of it. For prophecies that people say get fulfilled in the future, other than checking out my roommate and the number of other skeptic YouTubers that you're talking about, see how vague it is.
Mhm.
You know, there's this thing called a Barnum statement where that is just so so all-encompassing that people can read kind of whatever they want into it and see themselves in it. And so if something is
Right.
sufficiently
So the same
vague,
concept like horoscopes, right?
exactly. No,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
right there. Exactly.
It's so vague. It's so vague. And I like in biblical prophecies too, seeing constellations in the stars. If you go out at night and you've got a book of constellations and there's a crab and there's a bull, and you know they've got the outline drawn from these stars to make this figure. Well, if I'm just looking at the stars, I'm not seeing a bull. I'm seeing three stars that they've then taken and drawn lines together to make a figure out of. Somebody had a vivid imagination and said, oh, that's a bull, or that's a crab, or that's a horse, or a lion, or whatever those constellations. I don't know them, but that's kind of how biblical prophecy is. It's so vague, you can make it turn out to be whatever you wanted it to be. And even like Eric said, when you've got the Bible being written after the fact, well, you can write anything to make it sound like this is a prophecy being fulfilled. And in some cases, you can stretch the truth a little bit and have Jesus being born somewhere to fulfill a prophecy when he really maybe wasn't born there. And it can get pretty convoluted and pretty shady.
Yeah. In fact, Dave, you got it exactly. That makes me think of the Jesus story. Where was Jesus born? Was he born in Bethlehem or was he born in Nazareth? Well, you know, you have people after the fact that are saying, oh, no, he definitely was both because that has to fit the narrative.
It does.
And so, okay,
So he's
there's
born
a
in two
census.
places. He's born one place and goes another place when he's really young. And yeah, it's a lot of stretching.
Definitely. And so, okay, so that's one way to look at prophecy. Another is personal. If you can motivate yourself to seeing something happen, you can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. In the same way that you can walk into a college class on your first day and say, I'm going to fail this class. And lo and behold, you failed the class. Were you being prophetic? No, because you have the power to affect that change. And we see that a lot when it comes to people saying, oh, well, look at the formation of Israel.
Yeah.
Right. You have people who are motivated to see those things happen. You have a lot of religious people who are enacting laws and doing what they can to fulfill what they see as the requisite materials to begin the end times. If you are motivating a people to do it, then it being fulfilled is not as special either.
There's an agenda there. That's the problem. There's an agenda that's trying to be fulfilled, and they're trying to use prophetic utterances and prophetic fulfillments to meet that agenda.
Yeah. I mean, Michael, I don't know if you were listening to the last call. Were you when we were talking to Corey?
I heard some of it.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what the context was of the full conversation or anything.
Sure, no problem. He was saying that answered prayer is evidence that God exists because prayers get answered. And so last week we questioned him about it and said, well, how come they don't get answered in this case? How come whenever we try to study it, it doesn't shake out that way? And he looked into it. And the thing that I really wanted to tell him, and now I'm getting the opportunity to tell you, is it's not like we don't wish it was true. That would be awesome. If somebody could see the future, that would be awesome. I read comic books with stories of people who can do that because I'm so interested in that. But just because you want something doesn't mean it's true. And it's not that I'm trying to, disprove that no matter what the case is. The fact is I just want to be open to the evidence. And the evidence just does not show that in his case, intercessory prayer works. And in your case, that prophecy does.
Yeah, we just want to believe as many things that are true as we can. We're not trying to. There's no agenda for me anyway. I just want to believe things that are true. another resource, I've got several friends who were former Seventh-day Adventists, and one resource you might check out is a guy named Ryan Bell. He's a former Seventh-day Adventist pastor, and he's got a show called Life After God, a podcast. You can find it, and he interviews people on there, and I've been on there a time or two. So yeah, there's people out there like you that began to ask questions and wondered if what they'd been believing was true. I mean, Eric and I are two of them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Finally, I think there are two more points that I really want to hit. And I really want to hit them because I feel like they're good tools to get out there. First is counting the hits and ignoring them. There are plenty of psychics counting the hits and ignoring the misses.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who describe themselves as psychics who will make hundreds and hundreds of predictions. And if any one of them came true, then they go, okay, see, there's my evidence. But they don't tell you how many they made. And so there are people who make a living on that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do is you need to consider how many prophecies they made that came true versus how many prophecies didn't. Because if they're just counting the ones that happen to coincidentally be true, maybe there's going to be a storm in the Southwest. Ooh, the Southeast. Sorry, that happens. Tropical storms happen all the time. In the Southwest, right? There's going to be an earthquake. No shit.
Right. It was kind of like my that was kind of like my contention sometimes. But one of the things that I began to get skeptical, I kind of like broached some skepticism with when it comes to, like, say, the prophecies in Matthew 24, when Jesus says, or the scripture says that Jesus said that there will be wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes. I'm like, but that happens like throughout all of human history. So I'm beginning to like wonder, like, how is that? How are the wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes and such an indication of anything in our day? Like, how do we know that it's not just a repetition of the same cycle as before?
Absolutely. You can get really specific. So if you want to see like a really, really wacky rabbit hole, check out how many times The Simpsons accurately prophesied things to happen in the future. It is weird. And we know it's a cartoon, and there are things that just happened to come true in the future. It doesn't mean that there was someone clairvoyant working for The Simpsons. It just means that if you make enough future predictions,
you'll hit a few.
Yeah, it'll come. One or two of them can coincidentally happen. So hopefully hopefully that helped.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was the name of that former Seventh-day Adventist skeptic again?
Ryan Bell, and the show is Life After God. Ryan Bell, Bell. Just go to wherever you see podcasts. Just pull up, do a search for Life After God, and that's his.
All right, got it.
Okay, man.
All right.
Good luck, Michael. You bet.
Take care, brother.
All right. Peace.
That was everybody's been really nice so far.
Yeah, what's going on here? Everybody's so nice.
It's amazing that we do have people who are honestly saying, hey, here's what's going on. And I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten from people, especially in recent weeks, who are saying, hey, I'm afraid to call in, or, I'm afraid to reach out because I'm still questioning and I'm worried. And
that's the time to reach out. Yeah. No, it's good to have a nice call. It reminds me of my favorite moment on the show with you. You'll remember this when I tell you about it. We had a caller. He had been a caller of yours before. I think it was the first show I'd done with you, maybe the second. I can't remember. Anyway, a really good call. We were very congenial conversation, and he's really nice, and we were disagreeing very nicely with each other. And he said something like, it's just really good to be able to, disagree and get along. And I said, yeah, I've disagreed with lots of people who are wrong. And you looked at me like, what? you turned to me like, what? You can't say that.
I remember that. I shot you some daggers. I was like, we worked towards this, but it was funny.
I was totally kidding. And he knew that. He got the joke. So it was fun.
For sure. Yeah, I remember. Definitely. Let's move on to Kevin in New York. Kevin, you're live with Eric and Dave. What would you like to talk about?
Hey, you guys. How's it going?
Hey,
Well,
well-
I'm riding that line. Caffeine, I ate. I'm all
you've
right.
been pounding the monster, I noticed.
I have. Every time the camera pans away, I've been drinking that monster. Hopefully by next week, also, I won't have this white background. Hopefully I'll have a nice
Yeah.
something.
What's
but-
up, Kevin?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, well, I wanted to bring up the subject of how I've come to the conclusion that other ancient texts outside of the Bible basically give the Bible more credence, and in historical terms, and how people view the world. Now, a particular text that I wanted to narrow down actually was called the Nag Hammadi Codices, and they were accredited with not being influenced by other cultures and traditions, but yet they come up with similar stories, like how I said in a previous call, how I believe that the concept of demons are real. But as you read the Nag Hammadi, it talks about the archons, which basically are the same thing. But
Okay, hold on.
yeah,
Did we not talk about demons when you called in before?
yeah.
What's a demon,
But it was
Kevin? What's a demon?
a demon is a disembodied spirit.
Okay. Can you take me to where I can find a demon? Can we investigate it? I mean, if this is a natural occurrence, then I would assume that we'd have a long history of investigating it, and we actually do investigate spiritual claims, and so far we've turned up bupkis. So what's convinced you?
What convinced me was the effect that the Nag Hammadi says about the archons having to do with.
Okay, hold on. So is the Nag Hammadi what convinced you about demons?
No, but it.
Okay, I asked you
confirms
what
I
convinced
already
you,
thought.
and you said the Nag Hammadi. And so I asked you again, and you said no. So are you waiting to be on a script, or what's going on, dude? I'm confused.
I was saying that no, it only further confirmed what I already thought.
Oh yeah, no, we do
not
that all the
me.
time as humans. That's confirmation bias. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
again, what convinced you? Because you were already convinced before you found this this piece of evidence you're trying to bring forward. What convinced you, Kevin? And should it convince me?
Well, my general idea is that things like these, which are extremely hard to prove, wouldn't have stuck around in the minds of mankind for so long.
How do you know that? Stop. How do you know that?
Well, that's just based off of the insinuation that just like in the past, we've had people who have that hunger for the truth and put that out there for us.
Sure. And when we couldn't explain things, we made them up. So I want to tell you why I'm coming at it the way that I am. And that is because I have a history ever since I was a kid, volunteering in my mom's special ed classroom. I have a lot of experience with special ed. And I have a lot of experience with things that maybe a lot of people don't, right? I've seen a good number of grand mal seizures. They're terrifying. I've worked with kids with different personality disorders, things that cause them to, see people that aren't there and talk to people that aren't there and hear voices when they aren't there, right? They're all things that we've been able to understand and learn more about and diagnose, and we're working towards, giving them the best quality of life possible. That said, that was not always the case. Even here in the United States, we had a history of locking up, people for the rest of their lives to just move them out of society so we can't see them. And before that, we told stories about what might be going on. And we we said, okay, you hear voices, so obviously maybe you're hearing some disembodied voice. But the more we learn about it, the more we see that
We have answers. We have answers, and we don't have to make them up. Science has given us answers. Back when ancient texts were written, which is what you're referring to, Kevin, there were no answers. If a man was having an epileptic seizure or throwing himself in the fire, as the scripture says, we have to ascribe that to something. What's going on here? Well, they were superstitious. It must be a god. It must be a devil. It must be something. When thunder and lightning happened back in the day, they didn't know what that was. So there's the god of thunder. There's the god of lightning. Those are the answers that people made up when they didn't have real answers. Well, science has shown us what these things are. So things that would normally back in the day be ascribed to a demon, that's not. There's medical reasons for that behavior now.
Well, yeah, I know what you guys are saying. You know, I'm always open to be proven wrong.
That's good.
But you see, but you see, I mean, I know that the just human suffering itself seems to be it seems to be a human construct itself.
We make up stories.
A result of it seems to be a result of just our consciousness or the inner workings of our brain.
Right.
But it's that the reason why I think that there's an outside force influencing things like that is because these very things, like our emotions, for example. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to change the subject, but the reason why I mention emotions.
It's okay. I'm taking a pin and I'm putting a pin in demons, and I'm just making sure that we're relating what you're talking about back to demons. So go ahead. I've got this pinned. I'm writing it down.
Your emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, having to do with our emotions, they're natural, but when it gets to a point to where we can find ourselves special and separate from animals is when our consciousness is interacting with our brain. We're always comparing it to the local. We compare it to our environment, and so we change our emotions based on that environment. But and that gives rise to a whole new level of human suffering, which is things like jealousy, hate.
Okay.
Greed,
So
forth.
So I want to address this, but I also don't want to go down a trail that's not about demons, because I know that you're using this to give an example of demons.
Well,
right?
Well, having to do with demons, it's that. I mean, I don't even want to stray too much from what I was talking about, but the Nag Hammadi is describing demons as archons in the ways that it describes them as disembodied consciousness that works almost as a parasite for the human mind, in such a way to where they take our innate emotions and intensify them to where it could be destructive for us.
Yeah, I get it. I really don't give a shit about the book.
No, what's their evidence? These are ideas that some book is putting forth. But what's their evidence for that? We could just take a Harry Potter book and we could build a whole cultural idea about what they said is true about magic and witches. And I mean, it doesn't make it true because it's in some book.
Or Dave's example before, lightning and thunder.
Yeah.
I can say, okay, well, people have experienced lightning and thunder all over the place. And if you really look, then it's described that Zeus could hurl lightning bolts and that is where, this originated. Why should I care? Why do you think this is a book that correlates to reality? And actually, you know what? I want to take that back for a second. I want to apologize because I'm getting off base. We're supposed to be talking about demons. You're already convinced that demons exist, and this Nag Hammadi book is a red herring.
Confirmation.
It's something that is not related to why you believe. It's just something you're bringing out. So I guess if I were to shut down or knock down the Nag Hammadi, we're still not talking about why you have this belief. So why do you have this demon belief? Sorry, I needed to correct and make sure that I wasn't going down a different direction.
Well, because I mean, looking at our world today, this is why I have this belief. Looking at the world today, despite the everyday person's inner striving to have peace and to be left alone and live their own life, we see all of these on a collective level. I mean, there's these wars, there's these struggles of power,
sure,
and that itself is proof. Because
wait, that is proof?
People,
hold on,
See,
Kevin, that is proof?
I have a real problem with what you're saying, and maybe I would rather address the motivation of why you want to believe in demons. And my guess, and here's what I'm hearing: the human condition is human. We all struggle. There are people that have mental illness. We struggle with depression. We struggle with anxiety. The world is a hard place to live in. We all know that. But here's the reality. I don't know how making demons to be a real thing helps that. Because to me, all it does is absolve us of the responsibility that we have to try to be better humans. If I'm acting poorly, and if I'm misbehaving, and if I say, well, hell, what do you expect from me? I got demons in me, man. You expect me to act any better than this? That's just absolving me of my responsibility to be a better person. And I think that's a cop-out. And I'm not accusing you of that motivation. I'm just saying that when we put spiritual elements into the human condition, then we get off scot-free. And that doesn't help us get better at all.
Externalizing blame.
Hmm?
It's called externalizing blame. And Dave, you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, man. You know, why should I worry about what I did when I could just say a demon made me do it?
Demon made me act like an asshole. So, hey, give me a break.
Yeah.
No, we are responsible for our behavior. And when we misbehave, we need to own it and say, okay, I need to learn how to do better.
I mean, isn't it enough that we're complex creatures with our own motivations, that we all have a personal narrative that we're striving toward, that even people who do terrible things in their mind are able to justify it. And most people are the heroes in their own stories.
Of course.
I mean, if you look at these wars that you're talking about, how many wars have been fought where the people fighting them thought that their cause was just? It doesn't mean that it was, but it means that those people were convinced that way. And you don't need superstition and magic to get there. You have people who want, and people who are jealous or angry or afraid, right? A lot of it is fear, you know, but when you give people an excuse to externalize that blame, that's just one of them. You know, another one is racism, right? I mean, you know, I can't get a job. It must be all of these other people who take my jobs.
And that's fear-based too. So fear and hate are all about making demons out of people that we don't agree with or that we think are taking something from us.
But they're absolutely human. And not only are they human, they happen in animals, all the other animals. We are animals, Kevin. We are not different than the apes that we share a lineage with. The fact is
Eric, just like you mentioned, Eric, just how you mentioned racism, the common everyday person who thinks like you and I do, are not racist. But will you not admit that there are people in power who use that as a tool to control other people? I mean, that's exactly what's going on.
I don't understand how that addresses your...
How does that relate to demons?
Yeah.
Well, we look around every day, we see, I mean, obviously we're living on Earth in the middle of the universe somewhere. But when we look around, we see examples of good and evil. which gives us the clear proof that we're in the middle of something that's good and evil.
No, we're just defining.
It's,
I mean,
it's human.
it
It's the
doesn't-
human condition.
it-
Each of
it
us, all
doesn't-
three of us on this call have good and evil in us. Not evil's not a word that I want to use, but we can behave well and we can behave poorly. We can make good choices and we can make bad choices. I can do good to people and help people, and then in a bad moment or a bad decision, I can hurt people. And that's just human. That's just me being a human being and not being my best all the time. That's not, there's nothing spiritual about that.
No, I mean,
Well,
just,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
take a look at videos.
I don't want to.
You know, and dogs. I mean, there's so many animals that have a sense of fairness that when they see something as unfair, they react. I mean, it's not just us, dude. It's everywhere. What we call good and evil is what we've decided to describe things that are beneficial to society or beneficial to the propagation of our genes.
Mm-hmm.
That is largely what
we have all kinds of. I don't want to change the subject or anything, but we have all kinds of examples of people in power doing things that the normal everyday person wouldn't even dream of, such as the authoritarian regimes that we've seen in the past, and I mean, a person can come to the same conclusion. For example, Hitler, who dwelled into the occult, who was into all types of evil things, and it's like he welcomed those types of things.
How does this?
I don't follow your thought out. Follow your thought, Kevin, and make people in authoritarian, people in power, making that. How does that make them have demons? Follow that thought out, because I'm not getting the connection that you're trying to make.
Mm-mm.
Well, a clear example of demonic activity is murder on mass scale.
Okay, so do you think that people are not able to murder en masse?
That is not a clear example of demonic activity at all.
I mean, I can tell you there are plenty of people right after 9/11 who said that they wanted to nuke the Middle East and turn it into a sea of glass. I'm pretty sure that humans can absolutely conceive of mass murder.
Well, yeah, sure, but it's when they get to the point to where, and we see many examples of the person being deranged in such a way to where they actually enjoy what they're doing, and that's a disturbing factor.
Yeah, we already talked about mental illness.
We're still stuck there. You're ascribing it to demonic activity. We're calling it human behavior and mental illness and things that can be scientifically and medically shown to be true. We don't need superstitious ideas from the Middle Ages. It just doesn't make what we're doing here any better or make any more sense.
Kevin?
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it got really loud there for a second. Kevin, it's called the argument from incredulity. I can't understand, or I couldn't imagine X. Therefore, my claim is true. I couldn't imagine people committing murder on large scale. Therefore, whatever your claim is true.
It must be a demon.
Your claim. Just because you can't imagine something doesn't mean that it is not true or likely. It just, you can't imagine it. It's fallacious. There's no way you're going to get there using that logic.
Mm-mm. And we could talk all day and not get there. So.
Yeah. So I hope that you take that tool out of your toolbox and use a different one, because I can't imagine X, therefore I'm right. Plug that in a couple places. Look up the argument from incredulity and see what people have done with that, because it doesn't help you understand true things about the world. All it does is help you justify your biases.
Right.
And that's what you're doing. And it is harmful in some ways. It is very harmful. Do you know how many people don't go to the doctor because they were told to cut a potato in half and stick it over the wound because it'll suck out the toxins? How many people won't go get vaccinated when it could save immunocompromised people? How many times other people have gone to, pseudo-spiritual practices like Reiki and crystal healing and, getting their chakras aligned because they thought that no. dude, you need to have good reason to believe what you believe. You have to have good evidence for it. And when you espouse shit without good evidence, you're not helping us, man. You're not helping the society you're in. And you're definitely not helping yourself get to reality.
Well, the only reason why we're talking about this is because what people believe has a direct result on their actions. Does it not? I mean,
but hold on. That has nothing to do with the point you made. You were talking about demons, and whether or not people have opinions does not mean that demons are true. That is not a thing. The time to believe in demons is when you bring me a fucking demon.
Eric, I mean, out of all the religions that are out there, they're not even concentrating on Christianity or other religions that promote good within people. There are religions that worship these demons and take them seriously. Why else was the most people?
So again,
I can hardly hear him.
So people believed in Zeus, therefore Zeus is true.
There are people that believe that the earth is flat.
Does that make the earth flat? What if it was a long time ago? Does that make it more likely flat? No. So why you're giving us crappy examples, dude?
We just get better information as we progress as a people, as a society, as humanity. We get better information, and we're able to discard old ideas that don't make sense.
Yeah.
You need to join the modern world.
Yeah. That's nice over here.
He's got a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
Take care, Kevin. It was good talking to you. I really hope you listen back and reapply those things, because I've talked to a lot of people who have the same, methodology that you have, and when it comes to approaching the truth. And I would love for you to work on that methodology, because I want you to have the right answers to things. I want you to be able to reliably come to good evidence and reliably go, hey, I have good reasoning to believe the things I believe. The reasoning you're using.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
I'm glad. All right. We've got a couple more callers that we want to make sure we get to.
Take care, Kevin.
Calling in, man.
All right, you too. Thanks for taking my call.
Take care.
I used to believe in demons. Did you?
Honestly,
I mean, our brand of Christianity believed in demons and angels, and we didn't believe a Christian could be possessed by a demon, but we believed you could be influenced by demonic activity.
So that was definitely a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the most real that I ever got with it was when I met an atheist.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Because I looked for signs of demonic possession.
And you didn't find any, huh?
I looked for scales, or slitted eyes, or maybe they smelled like sulfur, or maybe anything that I could to determine
Well, yeah, you're trying to make sense. And because I was a Bible literalist, and the Bible talks about demons, Jesus cast them out, all that stuff. So I thought, well, we just believed that the Bible was current. Whatever was in the Bible was applicable for today. And if there were demons then, there have to be demons now. And so you had to make sense of it somehow, even though it didn't.
Definitely. And it's funny because I see so many comments. Oh, well, how could somebody so dumb ever believe that?
I was dumb.
No, you're not. And to those atheists in the comments who think that is how you get there.
No, you're right. It's not dumb. It's just misinformation. And it's having a bias. It's being told something, maybe like from the Bible. And like Kevin did, he went and found another book that confirmed his bias about demons, and it made him double down on it. And so, yeah, it's having an idea and then looking for reasons to support that idea.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make you dumb. You're right.
No, it just makes you a human that used the best evidence that he had available, and used the best tools that he had, or she, or them, or they. When those are the only tools you have, you're not going to reliably come to good answers.
We're just trying to give them better tools.
Yeah, and
we're just a toolbox, man. We're just Home Depot.
I will definitely take that. I am a tool. All right, Adrian in Texas.
I didn't say
it. Adrian, you're live with Eric and Dave. What would you like to talk about today?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, I'm honored to talk to both of you, Dave and Eric,
Aw.
and it's a
Hey,
pleasure.
Adrian.
Today, I just wanted to talk about, I guess we'll get started with intelligent design, or I believe in a designer God because of the evidence that was left behind that we see around us all everywhere, like, for instance,
Adrian,
DNA.
really quick. Adrian, before we dive in, I want to make sure that we're not talking past each other. What is evidence? What is your definition for evidence? I want to make sure that I understand.
Well, I guess the same as like in courtrooms, anything that makes it look like, that person is guilty.
Okay.
So because the world is designed in a certain way, i.e. perfection or whatever, you then say that there has to be a designer behind it. Is that the premise?
Kind of. I just want to make it very clear that I'm not saying anything about perfection or anything like that. It's just it looks designed.
But if God is
and
perfect,
I don't think have
God
any.
is perfect, wouldn't he design a perfect creation? I wouldn't understand why he would make it just kind of half. I'll do a half-ass job here.
I don't know if you're attacking a straw man there, because does God have to be perfect? I mean, where does it say that?
No, God can be a dick.
No, he
That's
can
fine.
be. He can be kind of. Well, the Bible says he's jealous and he gets angry, so I guess he's really not perfect at all. He's kind of like us.
Yeah, but
I just want to
really quickly, evidence. So can I give you a definition of evidence for this conversation that might help here?
Sure, go ahead. I'm willing to listen.
I'm cribbing off of Aaron Ra here, and I know I'm going to say it incorrectly, but the way he says it is, it's a singular point of evidence. It is a singular point of data that points to one conclusion over another. Right. So if I were to, look into my alphabet soup and it says Eric is right, that's not good evidence. Right. And it definitely wouldn't determine whether or not other claims that I make in the future are correct. Right. So I know you're going to bring in what you call evidence. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be determining whether or not that evidence points towards one thing versus another, and how we can determine what it points towards. So what's your first piece of evidence?
Okay. Yes. There's lots of things that appear in nature that appear to be designed, but we could start off. I know you don't have a lot of time, so we can start off with DNA, since experts like Richard Dawkins have compared it to.
You know what? I'm just going to look it up.
Okay, hang on. Let me. Adrian, are you a Christian?
At this point, I don't think it matters. Right now, we're just trying to prove God first, and then we could get into like what religion God is, if that makes sense.
You just want to prove the point that there is a God, a designer.
Yes, sir. And then like we could go in and ask him like specific questions, like how hot of a burrito he could eat and things of that nature.
Spicy, my friend, spicy. Okay, so
and what
yeah,
we could ask him all sorts of weird questions after we conclude that there is a God, if that makes sense.
It does. And so let's start. First off, I have come across so many people who quote mined Richard Dawkins that when you bring it up, my immediate reaction is, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, honestly, either a thing is true or it's not, and it doesn't matter what Richard Dawkins says. Either it's true or it's not true. And I mean, I don't know where else we can go from there. And I've got to tell you, Adrian, that personally affects me. The last conversation I ever had with my pastor, they told me that oh, what was his name? Help me out here, Dave. Wheelchair. He came up with tons and tons
Stephen
of information.
Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. Thank you,
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
That
Died of
Stephen
ALS.
Hawking
That's why I know.
got something wrong, and everybody laughed at him, which is why you shouldn't listen to him.
I'm not worried.
Right. So
I'm not worried about being laughed at.
Well,
Everybody laughs at.
No, we're not
hold
talking
on.
about that. You missed the point.
Adrian, yeah, you're missing the point. The point is whether or not somebody's laughed at, that doesn't mean that it's true or untrue. I don't give a crap.
All of us who claim to be atheists do not hang on Dawkins' every word. We don't hang on. We don't look at him as God or Jesus or anything. He's just a human like us, and he's disseminating information and doing the best he can. He may be right sometimes. He may be wrong sometimes, and I don't care.
But he did actually write a good book on this topic in particular, The Blind Watchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that because it's complex, it must have been designed? What is giving you the idea that that DNA was designed by an intelligent creator?
I will read The Watchmaker. I have read The Selfish Gene, though, and that's a good one, too.
Okay. So I'm asking you, and I hope you're answering and not just waiting your turn to talk. Does it being complex make it likely to have been intelligently designed? I'm trying to get at why you're saying this. Is it because it's complex?
No. Yeah, no. Not because it's complex. It's just because there's numerous things about it that make it appear to be designed.
Okay. So we can definitely investigate it. What does a designed thing look like versus an undesigned thing? Because if you're saying that there's the appearance of design, then we have to know what not designed looks like, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Can
And,
you give me an example of a thing that's not designed?
Right, and this might be circular or something, but it's something that wouldn't have as many things that make it appear to be designed.
Okay, so if a thing
is not...
Well, so yes, because you're using the word in the definition. But that's okay, because I still want to kind of pull us through here. Is there anything that exists that was not designed?
Yes.
Okay. If they were not designed, how did they get there?
Evolution, like changes that happen over time, and
Well, I'm glad that you think evolution is not designed. That's fantastic. But if that's not what you're saying, then you're not answering me. If something was not designed, how did it get there?
Evolution. Right.
Okay, so rocks evolved?
Well, they fell off of bigger rocks. I mean,
okay, cool. How did those bigger rocks get there? Let's drive it back, because you're saying they're not designed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, how did they get there?
Designed because, I mean, like the scientists say, the rocks all
about the scientists. I'm asking you, how did the rocks get there?
You would say that the designer designed the earth and the rocks are part of the earth, right?
So rocks would be designed by your viewpoint, I'm thinking, unless...
That's what my assumption would be.
Yeah.
Yes, there had to be a mass, I guess, the density of the earth, so that we can have the gravity that we have, so that the gravity is not as strong here.
Well, I mean, I understand we're talking about forces now, but I really want to ask, how did the rocks get there? I mean, basically, what I'm trying to get down to the point is, if DNA was created by an intelligent designer, right, and I'm going to give that a name, God, okay? So if DNA was created by God, is there anything that was not created by God? You said yes. I asked you, were rocks created by God? Were rocks intelligently designed? You said no. I said, so how did they get there?
You want to know how rocks are made? That's
Well,
what you're
I want to know how rocks are in existence if they weren't put there by God. I'm asking you to flesh out your view on intelligent design, because you're saying that something has the appearance that it was intelligently designed. But if your worldview is such that there is nothing in existence that wasn't intelligently designed, then you don't have anything to stand on because you can't compare it to anything.
No, I don't think I should. I don't think I should bet. No.
Okay, so help me here. Clarify, please. Were rocks intelligently designed?
I don't know. Like, as far as I can tell, no. Like, we could go take it all the way back to where maybe they were created by a designer somewhere, but
Okay.
as far as right now, I
Ooh, no, I like your distinction there, Adrian. Hold on, let's go down there. Okay, you said it in a way that's working for you, so I'm going to pick that up. Maybe at some point it was created by an intelligent designer. Is there anything in existence that was not created by an intelligent designer?
anything in existence. I don't know. I don't know. Like they could have, like, you say that trees are alive, and like we know that they're, like, we don't know if they have thoughts and
yeah, but I mean,
you know.
But hold on. I really don't want to muddy the water here. Whether or not something's conscious doesn't get back to whether or not a thing was intelligently designed. I love the I don't know answer, because I think that shows a lot of integrity on your part. It is hard to say I don't know, especially coming from, the religious background that I came from. Saying I don't know is something that you got made fun of for. Right?
I say I don't know all the time.
That's awesome. So if you don't know what is and isn't designed, then how are you making the claim that something has the appearance of design? You have to know what you're comparing it to before you can make the comparison.
Well, it's got to have at least 5 things that make it appear to be designed. So if you're saying that rocks appear to be designed, then that's proof that you're going to have to back up.
I don't know what that
No,
means.
I'm asking you to give us an example of something we can compare it to. Because if we have nothing to compare it to, then you're just talking at us. I don't understand. You're saying that there's something with the appearance of design. And so I'm asking you to give me something undesigned to compare it against. I'm not making the claim. I'm just trying to follow down the road that you're giving. I'm meeting you where you're at. You're saying this thing was intelligently designed. And so I'm trying to find if there's anything in your worldview that isn't.
Yes, but the example of rocks. I gave you that example, and then I showed you how there's nothing about a rock that appears to be designed. And then I asked you to give me anything. What do you think about a rock that appears to be designed? I don't think there's anything.
Oh. No. I don't either. But I think you're having some cognitive dissonance and having conflicting thoughts that are not working well together, or I'm misunderstanding you. Because I liked the way you put it earlier. Maybe that helped. Maybe it was put into place or brought into existence by an intelligent designer. And my understanding is that your view is everything was created by an intelligent designer. Am I wrong? Is it your view that everything was created by an intelligent designer?
It has to have at least 5 things that appear to be designed about it.
Hold on.
I don't know how else to make that.
Was everything in existence created by an intelligent designer?
Well, it depends on the evidence for that thing that you're talking about. So, like the thing we're talking about, you wanted to.
There are things that are in existence. There are things that are in existence that were not created by an intelligent designer. So
yes, I don't know.
Okay, so how did they get there? Because if we got our example of rocks, that means that if you were to zoom back to whenever you think the creation happened, there was God and rocks, because the God didn't create them, right? What else was there? I don't think that we can do that. I think that you do believe that it was created.
There's nothing about a rock that I think looks designed about a rock. So
okay, so how did it get there?
That's why.
I mean, I'm totally happy taking the viewpoint that there are things that God created and there are things that God didn't create. Now, the question there is, how do we determine whether or not something was created by God? And ultimately, once you get to the point of saying something does not have to have been created by God, it becomes infinitely unlikely that God created anything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people don't have to die of murder either. But if there's like murder is not necessary for death, right? But if there's evidence that points to somebody being a murderer, then why would you say that you don't know?
Because
right?
if you can't tell the difference between murder and not murder, then you should not be making an evaluation about whether or not murder occurred.
It has to have things about it that appear to be murder, right?
How can you make a determination that something appears to be anything if you don't have anything to compare it against? Maybe I'm talking past you. Maybe I'm making a straw man. Hold on. Can I clarify? So let's be super clear. I'm going on the assumption that you think that everything was created by this God, that everything in existence was poofed into existence by that deity. If your viewpoint is that there's a chance that maybe other things existed and that God just happened across them, there was God and rocks. Heck, even in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, God stood upon the surface of the water. So God, rocks and water. I mean, if you're going with that, then I'm talking past you, and I apologize. But if you're not, then help me here, please. Can you clarify?
Yeah, I will help you. Yes, you're attacking a straw man there because I never brought up the Bible. I don't even know why you brought up the Bible. I don't know how you know that I believe everything that's in the Bible is true. And and then also, no, I don't.
Okay. Fair enough, because it's my point of reference, and we definitely bring a lot of the baggage that we had.
He was making an example using the Bible. He wasn't inferring that you believe the Bible.
And you know what? Actually, the way I communicated it was very poorly, so I apologize. So, Adrian, you are. I was attacking a straw man. You're saying that there are things that were not created by God. That at the very least, we know that there was God and rocks that were not created by God. So now we can compare them, right?
Yes, you can look at things that are designed or things that aren't designed and pick out the things that appear to be designed about it. And then if there's a number of things, that appear to be designed about this thing, then I think it's safe to say that it is designed.
Okay. So far in the bucket of things that are designed and not designed, we've got rocks and everything else. So could I say if a thing is not a rock, it was designed?
The thing, well, it depends on what that thing is that you're talking about.
Not a rock.
Like what else? What else?
Anything else?
Thinking about
anything.
Anything but a rock.
Like a car?
It could be.
How about a human being? How about a person?
Sure. Or it could be I'm cupping water in my hands. Both of those things are not rocks.
Okay, which one do you want to go with? Cup of water or what was yours, Dave? Let's go with Dave since
a human being.
Okay.
A human being. Are we designed?
A human. Okay, so you just, here's how you do it, Dave. Here's how your logic should work is, what about a human appears to be designed?
And then you tell me, you're the one that has the criterion for design. You've got 5 things that I'm curious what they are, but you keep saying 5 things that have to be.
I keep cutting them off on the 5 things.
Yeah, well, I don't know where you got the 5 things that have to be a part of something being evidence for design, but I'm asking you, are we as human beings designed by an intelligent designer? Because that's what matters.
Yes, I'm walking you.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Yes, sir. I'm walking you through it. Like, if you want the fast answer, yes. There's numerous things about a human that appear to be designed. So, I mean, that's the fast answer. And then I was going to walk you the numerous things about a human that appear to be designed. And
Okay.
then,
So
for the sake of time, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah.
For me, because I'm
yeah.
having
Oh,
a hard
Jesus, 2:30. Yeah.
I'm having a hard time following
I know you.
what this. Here's a bigger question for me, Adrian. Why does it matter? Let me give you this, and Eric made I want to do this because he's a better debater and things. He's more knowledgeable in these areas than I am, but I'm a simple man, and my question to you is: let me give you that argument. We have an intelligent designer. He, it, they, she, them created the world, human beings, whatever you want to say they created. There is an intelligent designer. Let's call it God. Like you said, we can argue about which God later, not in this show because we're running out of time, but let's give you there is an intelligent designer. So what? I see no evidence anywhere in the world that this intelligent designer is active and involved with his creation. So what does it matter?
Well, I mean, maybe it could be involved in some people, but
I don't see any evidence
of that. The truth, though, Dave?
I honestly, about
Dave.
whether there's a designer or not, no, I don't, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me how we got here, because honestly, we don't know. Let's just be real. We don't know.
Where do you draw?
And I'm asking you, what difference does it make?
Where do you draw the line on what you want to know the truth about and what you don't want to know the truth about, Dave?
I just told you, Adrian, I don't give a shit how we got here. I'm concerned with, show me the evidence that there's a God, a deity, an intelligent designer anywhere doing anything in the world for anyone. And I don't think you can. Now, you claim to have truths that I should want to know, and you're implying that I don't want to know the truth, and that's rather offensive. I'm just telling you I'm more interested in things that matter in the day-to-day living of human beings that I encounter every day, and myself included. And I don't see a God anywhere doing anything for anyone. So you can tell me all day that you've got the truth about how we got created and who the intelligent designer is. You can say all day that you've got the truth to that. I don't think you can back up those claims with evidence enough. We don't have enough time in this show or all the rest of the shows today for that to happen. But my question to you is simple. Let me give you that. There's an intelligent designer. Now what? Big deal.
Yes, you don't have time for the truth.
No,
I'm asking you a question.
Other people,
I'm giving you your point. There is an intelligent designer, whoever you want that to be. I'm giving you that. Now, so what?
So you know the truth now.
What do I do with it now, Adrian? What do I do with it? How does it help me? How does it help me get through my day? How does it help me make the world a better place? How does it help me deal with COVID? How does it help me in any way? There was an intelligent designer. Big fucking deal.
Well, it just shows that there was something, there was a purpose to this, all of this. And
what's that purpose?
It may not have been.
I don't.
It may not have been perfect. You know.
I don't see the purpose. I see suffering and pain and hate and greed and jealousy. I don't see the purpose in some intelligent designer.
And it makes it possible that there's an afterlife.
No, it doesn't.
It does not at all. That's a huge leap.
Yeah. Essentially, if you were
Which afterlife? You have 70 virgins? Or are you going to be with Jesus? Which afterlife are you picking?
And ultimately, the point there is, if you were granted this creative being, then the only qualities it has is that it can create universes.
Yeah, it spun a top out in the universe, and the top's been spinning ever since, and we're on our own. So figure it out, people. That's all I see. So it doesn't get us it doesn't get us to eternal life.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Was it Family Guy who had God light a fart during a bender and create the universe? Is that purpose? Does anything created in that have purpose, if that was how it happened?
No, but I mean, it gets you to
So you
somewhere.
can have, hold on,
someone that
that's important. So you can have creation without purpose. Oh, so how are you concluding there's purpose because something was created? It sounds like there's a lot of stuff that you're shoehorning in.
There's a lot of gaps that you're filling with God. And you kind of dodged the question about if I asked you a Christian, but if I asked you if you're a Christian, but when you came to me giving you a creative designer, then you jumped to eternal life because there's a purpose. And I don't know which eternal life you're assuming there is, but you could tell me if you wanted to. But there are many eternal lives given to the many religions that exist in the world today. So which one are you talking about that we have proof of?
anything you want. Like if there's
I want 70
a
virgins.
heaven or a
Yeah, I'm
a
gonna go
heaven
with
or
you.
hell, anything would fall under the category of something rather than nothing. And I'm happy either way. I hope you are. But
No, I don't
I'm ready
need an
for
eternal life. I don't need eternity. I don't know if you know my story, but I'm an atheist who used to be a Christian, and I was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease a little over a year ago, and I've been given 3 to 5 years to live. And I don't need an afterlife.
Yes,
I'm soaking up this life, and this life is plenty good enough. And I don't have to create a story that gives me an eternal life.
But are you prepared for if there is one?
I'm prepared for whatever.
Like, are you ready for?
If there's,
So
Are you ready for that? Like,
I'm totally ready for anything, Adrian. I hope you are too. I don't need fairy tale stories to try to make me feel better about what happens after I die. I'm completely fine with not knowing. Because the reality is, Adrian, none of us on this show knows what happens after we die. None of us.
yeah, we're all agnostic, whether you like it or not, right?
That's right. And I don't need to make up a story to make me feel better.
Right. We're not making up anything. We're going by the evidence.
No,
Okay.
There's no
disagree.
making.
yeah,
I disagree.
And
there are so many pieces there. I don't even know where to pick
Yeah,
up.
I don't even know where to start with all that. Yeah. No.
Adrian, if you want to call back and talk about are you prepared for the afterlife, you can, because it feels like thuggery. It feels like that God would say, well, this is a really nice house. I'd hate to see it burn down.
Yeah. Hate to see something happen to your family there, buddy.
Yeah. But regardless, that's entirely aside. Dave, Adrian, I think
back in another straw man.
Oh,
you said, are you prepared for an afterlife? Is that not what you meant?
No.
Oh, okay.
I said, are you ready for it either way? I'm ready for it either way. If there's nothing, I'm ready for that.
Yeah,
I'm ready for that. But if there's something, I'm going to be
in the book of Eric.
I want to make sure.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Call back. Take it
That's all
easy.
the
Now.
preaching. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to preach it.
No,
That's all right.
That's
I'm
okay. We all got a
I'm
little
used
heated.
to it. I'm used to it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Pascal's wager.
Yeah. And really, honestly, Pascal, look at Pascal's wager. That'll get you there. You were talking about design when we got off base. And you said that things have to meet 5 criteria for it to be designed. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to take those and apply them to a rock. What's number 1?
I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm sorry I diverted us from this question of design, but now we can get back to that.
What's number 1?
Sorry, go ahead.
What's number 1? You said it needs to meet 5 things to be designed. What's number 1?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. Like if for a car, I guess
no, it doesn't.
Adrian, you've told us several times.
5 criteria for something to be designed.
Adrian, you've told us several times that there are 5 criterion to designate something as having being designed by a creator. What are the 5? Just tell it. Just what are the 5 things you keep referencing?
Let's start with number 1. What's number 1?
One at a time.
we're talking about the Earth, then it's going to be the tilt of the Earth, the distance that the Earth is from the sun, the magnetic field, the ozone layer, the
Are any of those things a rock?
The Earth is.
Are any of those things a rock? So if I pick up a rock outside, is it the Earth? Are we talking about, what are we talking about? Are those the 5 things?
Those are at least 5 things that make the Earth appear to be designed. So it just depends on what
I'm
you're talking about.
The general, what 5 things, what are the criteria for something to count as designed?
So like, for example, I wouldn't say that the universe is designed because I don't have at least 5 things that I could say make the universe appear to be designed, but I do have at least 5 things that make this solar system that we're in appear to be designed. This planet that we're on appear to be designed. The moon that we have appears to be designed.
Okay, so hold on. You have to have 5 things for something to count as, okay. I'll give you one because it's my kryptonite, the moon. How does the moon appear to be designed?
The moon appears to be designed because it makes the tilt of the Earth the way it is, and it gives us our 4 seasons.
Okay, hold on.
And also,
that's how gravity works and that's how physics works. You're talking about things that we understand. There's no magical claim needed, and there's no design needed. You're just describing shit that exists. So no, I reject the first one. Let's go to the second.
And there's some experts now that are thinking that there's parts of the moon that are hollow.
There are experts who think that if you sun your asshole, you will be able to get nutrients for the day. Do you think the moon is hollow,
Also,
Adrian?
the best thing about the moon was the rotation of it. It was spinning faster before.
Adrian, wait. You just brought up the hollow moon. How am I not going to talk about this? Okay. So if the moon is hollow, it's created, and if it's not hollow, it's not created?
That's just what some people are saying, and we don't know
what some people are saying.
The moon.
Back up your point. Why did you bring up it being hollow? Does that mean that we have created and not created? Or are you giving me a red herring?
Yeah, that's just something that makes it appear to be designed. And then I'm going on to the numerous things that appear.
Hold on. Be consistent. So if it's not hollow, it was not designed. Is that correct?
It's not hollow. It was not designed.
Yes. Otherwise, you're picking and choosing, and you're going, that sounds good. That might be an appearance, but there's nothing to the contrary. There's no way to prove myself.
Some people say you can inject disinfectant into your body and treat COVID. Some people say all kinds of things. You can't go by what some people say.
Yeah, you made a claim. Some people say the moon is hollow. The claim was your response to, was the moon created? And so that must mean that you think that it's created because it's hollow. And if it's not hollow, it must not have been created, correct?
It's because we don't know what's inside of it. So there could be like electronic things in there. Who knows?
Okay, cool. So we don't know can be evidence of things?
No.
Okay, so why are you using it as evidence?
The rotation of the moon slowed down.
No, stop.
Where it's at now.
No, stop. You're talking about the hollow moon here. Don't tell me about rotation. You were talking about the hollow moon. You said that either it's hollow and designed, or it's not hollow and it's not designed. Am I making a straw man, or is that what you're saying?
Yes, you're making a straw man because I'm talking about the rotation
either way.
Well, why'd you bring up the hollow part if you're just talking about why'd you even bring up the hollow part of the moon? What's that have to do with anything?
Because if it was designed either way, then that's a red herring, and you're wasting my time.
Diverting.
And Dave's time.
It has to do with the rotation of the Earth, and that's what I was getting to. I mean, I don't know why you wanted to that.
You brought up hollow moon. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
So we're talking about creation, and instead of giving me 5 things that show a thing was created, he said, no. Everything just has different reasons why we can show it's created. Okay, so You still haven't given us any way to determine created from not created. You just pushed the ball down the road, and now we're just chasing your goalposts wherever we go. And I'm sick and tired.
Oh, I've been long time,
I mean,
time
Dave
ago.
granted you that there's a creator God just to see what happens, and you sat there like the dog who finally caught the car.
Yeah. You don't want to know the truth. You can't handle the truth. I don't know.
You don't know is not good evidence. If you want to say that something's created, compare it against something that's not created. I mean, these should be obvious. Some people say it's hollow and gravity or something isn't good evidence
Let's
for.
move on to the road.
No, let's not.
really
I think
the
you're
best
wasting my
evidence.
time.
Yeah.
Come up with actual evidence instead of whataboutisms. Because until you get there, you're wasting my time and you're wasting Dave's. Bye.
Best evidence.
Okay.
Thank you. My God, I was about to bang my head against the desk here.
No worries.
Is
Anyway.
there something I don't know about rules for evidence for design? Is there a 5-thing rule I didn't know about? I don't know what that means.
Honestly, it's something that I came across.
Okay.
When
I wondered if there was something there. I don't know.
No. There's nothing there. It's something that I came across when I was looking for where God was, when I thought there had to be a God. And what that thing was a whole lot of people who never answered questions. They just kept shooting along different assertions without having to provide evidence for
I
anything.
just didn't know if there's somebody somewhere had come up with this rule that it has to meet 5 criteria in order to be designed. I don't know. That didn't make any sense to me. Why not 7? I mean, why not 15? I don't know.
Yeah.
He was annoying.
But
anyway.
It definitely seemed like he was more interested in more whataboutisms than actually. So
you gave him a lot of time, bro.
Yeah.
You're way more patient than me.
We're gonna shoot through these next 2 as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Paige in Indiana, you're live with Eric and Dave. What would you like to talk about today? Paige in Indiana going
Hi,
one.
can you hear me?
Oh,
Paige,
yeah.
Hi, can
Paige
you hear
and
me?
Paige.
Sorry about that. I had myself muted. Hi. Yeah, so I am a Scientologist out of Indiana.
Cool. What do you want to talk about?
I guess what I want to talk about is just, is it okay to have religious belief if you don't necessarily believe in everything that they say, but you find positive benefit out of it?
It depends. Number one, do you care about whether or not a thing is true? If you don't care and you just want to see positive benefits, then I think that is really dangerous. But you do what you do. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, I guess so something LRH always said is, what is true is what is true for you. So I guess what basically, it comes down to perception and reality is everything.
Okay. So
I think that what is true for you is what comes down to your personal experience. And, what I found benefit out of what I've studied. So.
Okay,
I would have to answer that from a personal viewpoint, because the idea of what is true for me is what is true. I have a real problem with that, because to me something is either true or it's not, and what I think about it doesn't make it any more or less true. For instance, I might believe or think that injecting disinfectant into my body will make COVID go away. That would kill me. With me personally, I have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And so I might, there have been many people, not many, but several people over the last year since I've been doing shows like this that have sent me ideas on this thing or that thing that might make you better. I might believe that going out in the backyard and laying in the sun 3 hours a day is going to cure my ALS. Me thinking it's true doesn't make it true. So I have a problem with that premise that you just stated.
Beautiful.
Right. But I think it also comes down to, certain empirical tests. And if there is empirical evidence to show that there is at least some positive benefit to what you're doing, I think that isn't there something to be said with, like, if you're not hurting anybody and what you're doing is not necessarily, I don't know, bad.
Then everything can be true.
Like,
Well, what if it gave
Yeah,
me
yeah.
a false hope that then led to a serious depression after my condition worsened? That would be doing damage to myself, and that would not be in my best interest. So me thinking something's true for a long period of time and then coming to the dramatic conclusion that, oh my God, I was wrong about that, and now I'm worse off than I was, and my hopes are dashed, and the disappointment is overwhelming, and I don't want to live anymore. So yeah, you can do damage to yourself by believing things that are not true. I believe I think that's absolutely true.
Well, I think it also, I don't know. I found that through what I've studied and what I've actually practiced, I've had actual benefit in terms of, like, my own mental health, how I like communicate with other people in general.
It sounds like you keep going back to beneficial as synonymous with true. Is that correct?
Somewhat, I would say. Like, if there is a benefit, how could you not then like somewhat see it as true?
Because I actually want to know what's true about the world and not what's just beneficial.
I don't know, helpful. I mean, if it's a benefit, then it's helpful. It's not like a true false equation. It either helps you or it doesn't. So me having in other words, I can have a positive mental attitude about my ALS, or I can get negative and depressed and angry. Neither of those is true false. One is helpful and one is not. So it seems like you're using the word true for interchanging the word true for the word helpful. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess it's just hard because at the same time, like, the empirical evidence that we would want to, like, find on this kind of stuff, I think, a lot of this would like the opposite viewpoint for a lot of the Scientological stuff would be, psychiatry. And, if you ask any Scientologist, there's been enough evidence to show that, psychiatry is really damaging.
Ooh, hey, that's a great example. I think that was one of the most toxic things I've ever heard.
Wow.
Let's dive into that.
I have some psychologist friends that might take issue with what you just said.
Yeah. Okay. What would you replace psychiatry with?
I mean, in my view, Scientology, but that's just because, obviously I have a bias in that regard.
Sure. So I'll tell you right now, like I've said before, I've worked in special ed for years. Psychology and psychiatry are incredibly important when it comes to improving the lives and making the best we can with people who are suffering from some serious mental illness. What does Scientology do for those people?
Well, it is the belief of, Scientology that, like, all mental illness and all, like, mental conditions are psychosomatic in origin. So, I mean, the solution would be, simply getting rid of the reactive mind, which should then clear the person of having that.
I would say that idea is incredibly damaging.
Yeah, but I understand the operating thetan thing. I do. I want to continue this conversation with you because holy crap, that's interesting.
What about physical ailments? You said mental ailments are psychosomatic. What about physical ailments like what I have?
It's a little. That's more up in the air. I don't think so. I don't think physical is necessarily accounted on that. Although LRH does talk about when he was wounded from the war and everything that he did help himself through it. But I think that was more just like it was more like I assumed that was more of the therapeutic mental health aspect, but I don't think it's physical. I don't think physical is considered to be a part of, at least nothing I've read to this.
Paige, I'm going to put you back on hold. I want to talk to you after the show because I would love to continue this. I don't get enough opportunities to talk to Scientologists. I do got to wrap things up, but I'm going to pop you back on hold, okay?
Okay.
All right. Really quickly, I want to thank our top 5 patrons. If you like what we do and you want to consider supporting us, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me and be one of our top 5 patrons. You could be like the Blazing Wizard, the Barefoot... the Blazing Wizard Pope, the Barefoot Gardener, Gary, Ward, Cully, and Charlotte. I know that's 6, but Cully and Charlotte are tied, so I wanted to name both of them. Dave, you're fucking awesome. But before we plug you, I just want to say thank you to our crew. Y'all are amazing. Can we switch back to the crew cam while we can? Everyone is at home, but they are remotely operating the computers in the back, and it is really, really cool to see. And so if you look along the right side, you will see blown out video of the crew. We could not do this without you. Thank you so much.
And them having to do this remotely is 10 times the work, and they've done amazing to put this stuff together. Well done, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I'm going to give them an applause. Dave.
Eric.
You got a lot of work to do, my man. And if there's anything we can do to help, you know that we're there for you. We love you. And I would love for you to plug everything you can so that we can get people to see you, to support you, and hopefully so that we can make sure that we can fly you everywhere we can.
Yeah, your support helps us travel. A lot of the places that want us to, and obviously we're not traveling right now until things settle down, if they ever do. But yeah, your support helps us travel to places that don't have much budget, and that's important. Go to daveoutloud.com. You have all the links there to the Patreon, to my email, my Facebook, Twitter, all the things. And love being on your show, Eric. I will be in Austin when things settle down. And we'll do this again. I love being with you.
I can't wait. I love spending time with you and Marie. I got a message from Marie who happily took a picture of watching us do the show. Marie, we love you. Dave.
Shout out to my girl Bevan. Love you, babe.
So
you met Bevan. Yeah. We'll be down there again in Austin one of these days.
So let's see if we can put together our outro. I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1.
Oh, my hand didn't get on the screen.
Oh, that's okay.
My hands don't work so well.
That was gorgeous. So here's the part of the show. I love this. The time is never enough.
Oh my God, it goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, I got so excited about things. I rolled up my sleeves.
I know you took your jacket off. I thought you were going to have your shirt off for long.
Hey, that's for after the show. Patreon content. No, that is
Patreon only content.
So here's the deal. Whether you believe or not, if you're working out there and you're putting yourself at risk to keep us safe, thank you. And that is medical professionals, to the people who are working in fast food, to the people who are stocking shelves at grocery stores.
Yeah, I'm always moved when I go to the store and watch the hardworking people. You know, there's an element of fear they have to deal with, and I just it moves me that they are on the front lines like that.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't believe, this is your community. It doesn't matter where we're at. That's the great thing. We live in a world where we can still be there for each other. And these love rings are going out to you. And I know some people hate it, but we love it. We're going to keep doing it because it's our show, damn it.
I feel like I just took LSD or something. I don't know what's happening now.
But dang, what a great question. And, you know, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about those early callers. You know, we had people who call themselves Christians, but they are asking questions.
They're open-minded. That's the key. They're curious. Curiosity is the key.
And whether you get there or not, we're just glad that you're here.
Asking the questions, right?
Yeah, because we're growing a community. And like another call that we had today, how can we work together with each other? And that is, I want to build more community.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's for them. Do you remember how we end the show, Dave?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So here's what we do. I'm going to say to those of you who do believe, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong. We're going to say that together, and then it's going to roll the credits. Okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Go.
To those of you who do believe,
we don't hate you.
We just think
you're wrong.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Dave, that was awesome. Thank you.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
No, you're done.